lots of nearshore Nereocystis here. Lawsoniopsis right up to the base of the cliff. Here it's there's a bit of a reef off to our right. So it's Alaria at the waterline here. Incredibly lush platforms. 37. But it's lush, but it looks like it's quite a bit dominated by the large Alaria type.
25 meters in width, then we've got about a 10 to 15 meter discontinuous beach space on these above this rock platform. Again, it's all sand granular sized material. Testing, all of our audio looks good.
This would be roll 6.
Wood debris berg, sand granule with lots of detritus.
There's funny little sea stack coming up here.
Sea stacks on the rock platform.
Still Alaria, Lawsoniopsis folioscaulin.
15 meter wide.
Looking at, yep, still Nereocystis over to the right. Not quite as wide of an extent of it, but be all along here. Lots of Alaria. There's Alaria inside of a rock knob with Lawsoniopsis on the outside. And there's bleached surfgrass on that platform. Number 2. Another big one there. Oh, look at these sea stacks offshore. Oh my god. Some more gun emplacements. 3. Look at this. Stacks, they're like they're cast out of cement. They're so perfect. Incredibly rich platforms. Oh, look at those gun turrets. That's spooky. 4.
A little bit of a rock platform.
Nearshore, Nereocystis, Lawsoniopsis, corallinrads, Alaria. There's some of, looks like Iridia, Cornucopia.
Okay. Gun emplacement, go.
Nereocystis, incredible shoreline. Oh my gosh. Gulls there. Juvenile eagles.
All boulder,
very, very lush.
Boulder veneer, little pockets of
5.
granular material, but mostly Chigiak Island.
Wow. Millions of birds.
You can keep a fair distance away from these birds if you want.
Lots of nearshore.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh, there's some sea lions. Lots of reefs.
And if we can go probably right out to the outer group there and do a circle around those. Mary likes.
Yeah, there's a few there.
Yeah,
where that sea arch is.
On this other one where there isn't anything that we could get a little closer, because Mary likes to look at the algae down there.
Oh, look at that. You can see right through. That's a big sea arch. Scattered Nereocystis out here. Not a lot. And pretty high wave exposure. This is incredibly lush. 6. Lawsoniopsis. Grading up to Lawsoniopsis. There is mussels there. That looks a bit more like California mussels, although they're still very dark, black, blue black. There's a sea lion in the water. Sea lions in the water.
Yeah.
Sea arch. difference is unmistakable. Sure.
Yeah.
Sea stacks. This is incredibly lush Alaria, nearshore Nereocystis, and wow. Here's quite a bit more blue mussels. Huh. It's a Nereocystis bed below us. I'm getting to be speechlessly overwhelmed again. And it's Alaria here because I guess the open exposure to the full forest is broken by the offshore reef. That was 10.
Little wave
Quite a few
shadow
harlequin
here.
ducks below us.
The trader picked up behind the berm.
Alaria, some funny looking bleach. Nope, that's a different large laminarin. And that would be the dragon kelp. Holy smoke, look at that.
Wow. Yeah. I think that's bigger than a 0.342, isn't it? That might be him.
Sea otter. Surf grass and Alaria on the platform. There's a few places that really lush looking reds. Right here is some lush looking reds right at the edge of the water in photo 11. But that's Alaria across the platform.
There's probably an old road or something associated.
Yeah,
with
solid moss of a red. It looks like Odenthalia or something really, something that has a lot of texture and it's not really huge. So that's a red band right at the waterline. But then that's Alaria right there. And a beach.
Give it a minute.
It's completely surrounded by a big kelp bed.
And there's road access that's probably responsible for some of the winter features. Beautiful dunes, colonizing out front, per 10 meters.
There's Nereocystis beneath us.
Space 30 meters wide.
And on this platform,
beautiful topography.
Looks a little different because the Alaria in some places is replaced by the low turf of some kind of red.
And another gunnery in
I wonder if they have Chrysila up here because on these seabird rocks here, it's all green up top. It might show up in photo 12. So here, there's some, I would say, fucus and barnacle up on the upper platform, and at the waterline, it's something different, something new.
Obviously, would have been the command center for the gunnery program.
It's that low turf of reds that I was describing a few moments ago. So these platforms look different. The wave exposure is going down. This is mussels, fucus scattered, and barnacles across the upper, bleach surf grass across the lower, some Alaria, but not very much, and over here hardly any. And this platform here is covered with surf grass, bleached and not so bleached. We go down a bit lower again, just along the edge of the platform and along the edge of the waterline here. And this is definitely a lower wave exposure. It's definitely different looking. There's that feathery looking brown mixed with some Alaria. And I wanted to see if this golden...
What's this gold stuff there?
I don't know. It's laminarins, Alaria, and this feathery. sargassum. Maybe that's what the feathery stuff is. And wow, there's one of those Alaria curlicues. Oh, photo 14. And it's a bleached red. There's 2 or 3 kinds of bleached red. There's a new kind of stalked brown. Oh, sorry, I'm getting excited again. This would be, oh, look at all those bleached blade reds. We just changed wave exposures again on that point that we just passed. This is really neat. Very different.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Go up?
Yeah, thanks.
What is the gold stuff?
The gold blade stuff is a bleached red, like a Jagardina or something. We saw stuff like this at the Bunsby's. And the other red, I don't know, it's some other filamentous bleached red. So here the soft brown band would be a combination of the feathery brown, the Alaria, and then there's quite a bit of surfgrass as well. And above it, the reds, 15. Oh, I should have taken more pictures when I was down there. The reds are a mixture of filamentous and foliose reds, bleached reds.
We've got a sand granular.
Here's Alaria where the water's breaking, and tube worms above that. Lots of patches of barnacles, just a few mussels showing up there.
Beach here, high energy beach kind of placements on the beach there. Wind meters, huge tall eagle sitting on the post there.
This beach is bare.
And the 15-meter wide berm, beach face,
no kelp offshore.
5 meters wide.
This little platform surrounded by Alaria and the feathery brown. And this platform is bigger but similar looking. One of the things I spotted when we did our low pass, there's a few laminary Seychelles, I'd say, which is, it seems odd. It looks like this is too low of a wave exposure for those.
Almost looks like sargassum, but I know it can't be.
Well, there's another brown that looks a lot like it, and I think that must be what it is. There's the other laminaria Seychelles right at the waterline too. The original stalked chocolate brown.
Your midway point. We've got sand granular beach faces just continue all along the high water line.
Again, an incredibly lush platform and quite a different species composition. So
anywhere from 30 to 40 up to
Nereus cystis has gone. No Nereus cystis, and the waterline is a mixture of Alaria and the feathery brown. And then there's an incredible golden bleached just at the water's edge, 17, with surf grass. Some of it's quite bleached. There's barnacle. It almost looks like bleached Oleos coralum. I don't think it is. I think it's barnacle. And there's a few places where there are blue mussels. Still, and there's surf grass under the water. Still, this is quite a shallow near shore. Very hard to come in a boat here too, but it's still Alaria all along here. Now the feathery brown is sort of disappeared as we get into towards the beach in this bay. There's a few laminaria Seychelles though, by the look of it, and also other laminarians and surf grass.
Wetland in behind there. All throughout the stream valley.
Lots of beach buggy tracks.
all the way along.
Beautiful black sand beach.
Beautiful, incredible beach here. Looks like four-wheeler heaven.
Wow.
Wanted to make sure you got the back of the floats too. 10-meter wide sort of berm area, then the beach face 25 meters wide. Again, another, incredible garden there and lagoon complex. Beach face here, 20 meters wide.
There's still
material.
surf grass on the platform. And I'd say more fucus now showing up in the upper part of the platform. And then it seems to disappear as we come out to the point. 18. There's a few Nereocystis plants, feathery brown and alaria.
Yeah, we should probably get that as a bit of a clump. Yeah.
So not so much of the alaria band across these platforms. Lots of birds on this first one. Looks like more puffins in the water.
Mayor, can you give them sort of a pattern around the platforms that you might want to do, or?
We can just include the whole thing in one loop.
Okay, you want to go all the way out to that piece back ahead?
Sure, we don't need to. It's all the same as this.
Okay.
But we should do that bigger one over there. It's scattered Nereocystis around the reefs here. Not very many, but some. And again, it's not that robust-looking, lush-looking Nereocystis. It's more eroded-looking. There's lots of, I guess it's Laminaria seychellii and alaria at the waterline here, and all that bleached golden reds. 19. Puffins everywhere. Birds arranged artfully. Quite a few blue mussels around the base of those sea stacks. 20. Puffins peeling off. 21. That would be Laminaria seychellii at the waterline now.
Shell hash up in behind there.
And how much of that is still alaria? Quite a bit. So here, the alaria is less dominant. It's more mixed. Look at the puffins peeling off.
Yeah,
there's one at every burrow.
Yeah.
And hundreds in the water here too. They literally dive off to get airborne. Beach is bare. There's a few patches that might be eelgrass in near shore.
Sure.
And that doesn't quite look like alaria.
Great shot of the intertidal banding across here.
Beautiful banding pattern, 22. It looks like Cymathera or Costeria or something like that. Right at the waterline there.
Low.
Patch. Puffin soup. Wow. Oh my goodness. Look at this, John. is a howl band that's got no howl. So,
What's the name of the island again, Neil?
23.
Buck Island.
There's a few patches of...
Yeah, a whole bunch of...
oh, I bet you this is eelgrass over on this side. Substrate's quite fine. It's classic howl band, but I don't know if its howl is here or not. Bleached reds. Magnificent. Millions of birds.
Boulder there. Wow.
And near shore, there's no kelp, no Nereocystis. Lots of bleached reds, some surf grass, and probably some eelgrass. Wouldn't be surprised if they were co-occurring here. Sea stack, big wide platform of bleached reds, 24, and quite a bit of patches of mussels.
So is that eelgrass in between in those channels there?
I think there's probably a mixture here. There's probably both. I would say on the backside it'd be eelgrass, and there's probably a mixture out here.
Okay.
And there's fantastic 25 blue mussels across with bleached reds, and then that funny looking blade brown, large laminaria Costeria type at the waterline. Incredibly rich platforms, and quite a different species composition than the Lawsoniopsis alaria surfgrass platforms. These are a soft brown, bleached reds.
Looks like an elephant.
26.
Okay.
So here the near shore, there's the feathery brown and a few surf grass, some other bleached reds. This is all under the water in the near shore. And at the water's edge, it's surf grass, 27 bleached reds. There's alaria type here at the waterline. Some other filamentous reds in a very low turf. Then on the platform proper, it's probably dominated by barnacle with a subset of surf grass down in the cracks and crevices between in the platform. And should be fucus in the upper, but it's a very golden color. It doesn't look quite right. 28.
Boulder Hollow, right below the bottom of the beach face. Lots of caves.
It's quite a different looking mixture than the other platforms.
Generally,
Near shore is really shallow, but there's no kelp. And there's probably a few clumps. I think I'd call them eelgrass, but it's not forming a whole bed. It's just clumps. Here's more over on this side. I would guess it's
I think on this little lagoon comet we can do a big counterclockwise loop around it. Is good?
29. This would be eelgrass all along here. This bay is full of eelgrass. Down the other side here as well.
Looking in the tidal delta from the lagoon.
30. That lagoon's more open than the other ones. Lots of
yeah, actually I meant around the lagoon off to our right there. Okay.
must have been a cannery or something. There's a lot of shell, or a midden, a village site. Looks like big shell though. swash like this, though. Maybe this is just low enough energy. It's not all broken up. This is eelgrass in here, John.
Yeah.
So that shows that if it was in the other lagoon, we would have seen it, because here it is here.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, look at the pollen, eh?
Huh. Well, it may be intertidal, but it sure doesn't get to drain very much.
Yeah, we can turn and head back anyway here.
So this is all fringing, it looks like sedge type. And there's really no flats within the lagoon per se. I don't, is the eelgrass up here? Maybe a little, but it's completely encrusted with diatoms, if not totally diatom strings. There's eelgrass there, just a little bit. Here's a bit more out here. So yeah, the lower part of the lagoon is pretty much 100% eelgrass, but there's so much pollen.
A big boats in here, so they really work their time to get them.
31, and the eelgrass is quite encrusted with epiphytes also. So it doesn't look very green and lush. There's the beach at the outlet here. And the eelgrass back out on the delta.
Our beach base there is about 10 meters.
Eelgrass along this side of the bay also.
Mostly
and also mixed with bleached blade reds, some of which is probably drift.
Road fill across that lagoon mouth. That would have been a river channel at one point. All folded marble veneer.
Eelgrass is just about petered out. There's a little few patches here. The near shore looks shallow. There's bleached reds at the waterline, but now the intertidal is starting to look like it did when we started out this morning. Sparser. 32. Sparser overall, and harder to describe because it's not really very distinct banding. It's a million puffins. It's a really cool feature. 33. There's patches of offshore eelgrass here. Hundreds of puffins peeling off the stack. So it's bleached reds and that feathery kelp at the waterline here. I don't see any alaria anymore.
No, I don't. I think we can get that a miss.
Bleached reds at the waterline. So this bottom of the stack, it's barnacles mostly, with some mussels that really show up because they're such a contrasting color. And at the waterline is bleached reds, and there's pigeon guillemots swimming under the water. Cool. Tufts of bleached reds. You see some sort of eroded-looking larger browns below. They're down into the waters. Definitely subtidal. There's this strange coloration of the Simon-Thera type. Seersucker type 34. And just patches, not continuous bands. Upper intertidal bare, then there's barnacles, and that ends right across the platform. And in some places it's covered with low turf of different kinds of filamentous reds, water bleached reds in that. And there's a little bit of eelgrass at the toe of the beach there. And along here, so there's just patches, small patches of eelgrass.
Berms there, pebble sand, size material. Beach faces, mostly sand with a little bit of granular.
Looks like Alaria type on the
low
point.
tide platform on that beach is
Lying down flat like here, but it's not in here.
It's
gone again. And that must be surf grass up in those pools further up on the platform. That looks very odd. Perhaps eelgrass in the substrate that's accumulated, but looks more like a surf grass kind of trick. Take a picture of that in 35. So this platform is dominated by a mixture of bleached small reds, and there's more of that dark tan colored, looks like the Osteria.
Got a berm there.
Is it another round feature up there on the
material. Let me look back along the beach.
Is it a round pond?
30 meters in width.
So here the beach looks quite bare. 36. There's fucus and barnacles and some mussels. And then below that is bare, where the sand is scouring around. It's the bright green of on the estuary there.
Material, sand beach base.
37. Here the beach is looking quite sparse. Strange looking piece of meadow there. Upper beach is quite barren. There's more of that ash that Tom pointed out on that other side. Oops.
Film. There. A little bit of road fill right where the culvert is sticking out. All of those berms and pebble, cobble mixed in with sand.
Near shore is vegetation. I can see the lower extent of it stops quite suddenly at the sand. There's some patches of eroded looking eelgrass. It's just starting roll 7. The near shore is shallow and bare. This whole bay is really shallow. Not much attached near shore biota. There's mussels on the rocks sticking out of the beach there, mussels with barnacles. Lots of harlequins, several flocks of harlequins. This beach is quite bare. Recognize this from when we flew over.
I'd like to do a big counterclockwise loop just around the little inlet stuff here, but just after we get by this little washer.
So,
yeah, I don't need to go way in. I'll just get the inlet part of this whole thing. Part of what we shoot this for is oil spill countermeasures too, and they look at how these inlets are configured to see how they might do it if there was a big oil spill again, how they might protect a particular inlet.
Rule 7, number 1.
Another little. This is all part of the flood
attached out here.
Wetlands along the margin. Mostly wetlands up beyond us. You can see there used to be a road and a bridge.
Can't quite get everything in
here. And,
the field of view.
Cut the scarp, and we've got a little cutway for them. That's the old river, I think.
Yeah. Number 2. There's a bit of fucus up here in the channel. Not much.
Yeah, that's fine.
Squash ridges. Huge big valley.
Looking up to the braided flat patterns and things across the channels, all wetlands up in above. These tidal flat areas. There's quite a number of cattle out there on the flats too. Wetlands in behind,
high tide lines with
sort of
old racks of drift. I think those are terns down there. A few hundred terns. Some cattle on the beach. Looks like they're eating the seaweed, poor things.
4.
funny cow tracks. Maybe they're eating amphipods. Amazing pattern there. So the wetland vegetation, I bet you it's been grazed down. It definitely doesn't look quite the same as other, the other lesser surroundings. Here the beach is pretty much completely bare. It's black sand and cobble boulder.
Granular material.
A little bit of near shore. Well, it's what I used to call the agarum type, large laminarans that's lying on the bottom. A few of the feathery plants, but mostly quite bare.
Tom, I was wondering how much longer before we can break off for fuel. Oh, okay. I'll just send a telegram down to my bladder and tell her it's only 10 more minutes. No. We never land for that stuff. No, we have occasionally landed.
Black boulders.
Oh, you're smiling over there today, are you? Or are you wearing those adult campers?
6 beautiful armored pattern in the beach boulders that are quite bare. As we creep out the shore, it's getting slightly more diverse or lush looking, but really it's fucus and barnacle across the platform here with a mixture of low turf beach reds and the waterline. Oh, there's one patch of green, looked like surf grass, bright emerald green. There's one patch. There's some more of those, a few of those feathery browns. I don't see any alarias here, so it'd be a low turf. Could we go down lower again too, just right on the outside edge of the platform here? Incredible armoring on the beach. Oh, is that ever weird? It must be the fresh water making the barnacles are growing right on top of the mussels. And here we have a closer look. I want to see these bleached reds. And it is a mixture of several different kinds. Mostly filamentous reds by the look of it. There's no alarias showing up here.
25, 30 meters wide, that boulder,
mostly bare too. 7. Oh, there's a few alaria plants here as we're getting out closer to the edge. And a few laminarians with stalks, but mostly scattered great things. And there's those mostly scattered bleached tufted filamentous reds. There's a few of the crusted feather type and alaria type. And oyster catcher. 8 that was. There's a few more mussels just on the higher part of the rocks here. There's a patch of Nereocystis. We're gradually coming up to more exposure. Puffins.
Little biogenic sand.
Nereocystis, alaria here in the near shore, Littlefield. 9 and 10, 9 and 10. And how to describe the banding? Really, it's not exactly banding. It's more like observed species assemblages. characteristic way that they raft together. So again, these platforms are lush in their own way, and it's probably almost a completely different species assemblage than we saw out on Ugad Island, which was also very lush, but a different wave exposure. Here it's barnacles in the upper. It looks like barnacles are the dominant feature right across the whole platform. There's probably some fucus plants, but they don't look terribly lush. And a lot of bleached reds. And then there's the bleached blade browns right at the water's edge. There's a patches of, it must be eelgrass in here. This looks like eelgrass for sure. Eelgrass along here. Eelgrass at the top. Eelgrass at the foot of the beach here. There's people out on the beach and eelgrass. 11. Not a good place for chitons though. Yeah. This is eelgrass all along here. Eelgrass all along here, patchy.
Lots of eelgrass in
there's
the water here at the platform, solidified in the sand. Oh, our whole school of fish. Did you see those?
No.
They were big ones too.
There's, it's mostly barnacle across the platform on here, 12. And there's that strange brown, blade brown. I was calling it seersucker, Cymathera or Posteria. And overall, the blades look too small, but they have a texture like that.
Okay.
Polished, black, angular substrate, liquid of all sorts. 13. Quite bare. This beach is
come out very
totally
uniform.
bare.
A little bit of a burn, 5 meters or so.
Grassy Island. This is mostly surrounded by
Big lagoon and flat
It's all
here.
beach on this
all
side.
along the back shore. Pelican Island.
Looks like
and,
gulls are nesting
Golder
on the
Beaches
ground
is up,
here.
Raised Beaches is up high there. We have sand granular.
There is eelgrass here in the lagoon on this side.
Very complex configuration.
Feels like we're a bit high.
It's your psychological thing. You want to be lower.
Yeah. So these platforms are diverse, but it's quite a different species assemblage, and it's not as lush as where we were.
Yeah.
I don't know how you describe the banding here, because these platforms, the bands aren't so distinct because the elevation changes so gradually. It gets spread out across them, you know. Have to think about that. Oh, back out to more Alaria and Nereocystis here on the outside. And there are patches of blue mussels, but lots of barnacles across the platform proper here. There's the bleached reds at the waterline, 15, and the feathery sargassum looking stuff. That I think is Cymathera, not Cymathera. Oh, mine's gone stunned. Anyway, the feathery type. Cystocyra. Puffins jumping off the edge. And I guess those are maybe kittiwakes on nests, all are beautifully arranged around the cliffs there. 16.
No, we could get it now. We'll do a loop and then get all these islands collected as one piece.
Nereocystis offshore here, so there should be Alaria to go with it, and there is Nereocystis. So
Out in the water in the middle of the bay over there. I don't know what it is at about 8 o'clock.
lots more puffins. Sea otter, I think. Nereocystis, looking kind of eroded on this side. Really wide, lush-looking platform. 17 with the Fucus barnacle dominated, a bit of Alaria right at the water's edge. Puffins pelting off the cliff. Coming out to more of the Alaria at the waterline, as you can see a bit of a swell. And, oh, lots of birds on this point. Wow.
Beautiful.
Nearshore Nereocystis. 18.
High energy section of shoreline. Not total high energy, but a bit of a swell coming in here today. The beach face up there looks like it's a pebble cobble turf. Pebble veneer over sand on the beach face. Some beach
And
along the margins on both
gosh,
sides.
is it the Soniopsis here?
Get probably a better shot. There's a good across shot of the beach in the back.
No, I think it's all Alaria type on the outermost here.
Almost looks like, yeah,
Might be some Soniopsis, but not very much. This is quite thick Nereocystis and Alaria at the waterline. And quickly back to the bleached reds at the waterline. 19. And there's that blade, large blade brown at the waterline. So this just going to have to rewrite the species list completely to match up the wave exposure categories up here.
Interesting spots down below us. Yeah, we need to get that.
Of Nereocystis and some kind of large laminaria. It looks almost could be the laminaria seychelles, which is very odd because it's growing in slightly lower wave exposures than we use it as an indicator for further south. Bizarre. This is the bleached reds type on the platform, and it's quite sparse, beautiful banding pattern. And photo 20, there's the bright green in the log line mixed with Elemus. The upper beach is bare. The beige in the middle beach looks like just a diatom haze on the cobbles. Just a few fucus plants or something. One patch of eelgrass and 2 more patches of eelgrass. Not much growing in the nearshore subtidal, looks quite bare. Eelgrass there in that little pocket beach, fucus, and on the harder rock, the 21 beige color on the cobbles there, I think is
white color
just
barnacle.
no, I'm just describing it. I think it's just haze. There is here's barnacle, but you see above it it's not, I think.
Yeah.
Doesn't have quite enough texture, but it's mostly barnacles at the waterline, and there's those brown seersucker type at the water's edge there. A few Alaria plants. Bear Beach, Alaria on that outcrop with barnacles and mussels.
Okay. Wow, if it ever comes.
Bare beaches and not seeing much nearshore kelp right here.
We're going to break off at the point here. We're 51 minutes into the recording.
Oh, and here's the kelp starting just as we come out to this point here. So no kelp inside, and there is Nereusistis on the outside.
Good.
Right there.
Just checking our audio meter. Boulder veneer.
22. Nearshore Nereusistis. Puffin. Alaria type out on the point, going up to higher wave exposure. So this is Nereusistis, Alaria, barnacle, and patches of blue mussel.
Okay.
So 23 we're stopping with.